Today's episode is sponsored by Genuine Connection, whose new EP, I Swear, is a collection of 5 emotionally driven, heartfelt songs with undeniably catchy choruses. But don't take my word for it. Download and stream the EP at genuineconnection.bandcamp.com and catch them live on February 26th at Cassette in Ridgewood, Queens with Starcard and Daisies. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine, where you can go to sign up and support the show, read zines, get music sneak peeks, and so much more. That's patreon.com/humanmachine. And now, I'd like to play something for you. You're hearing Caddy by Biological Fathers, featuring my pal Jesse Mowery on guitar. The song comes from their debut EP, which you can find on Zegama Beach Records Bandcamp, along with much of Jesse's other work.
A lot of times, like one of us will have like a song or parts of a song and we'll show them to each other. But then sometimes we'll show up with the intention of starting something we already have written, but then start jamming and something cool happens.
Yeah. So you do a lot of like, you do show up with an idea. You never like, do you ever just show up with no idea and you're just like, well, let's just see what happens? Or is that kind of, because that's not the way that I've ever operated. Like I'm too nervous to just show up with nothing, right? That's like my whole thing.
Well, I think like both of us like have like a backlog of just songs that we've written over, 10 or more years that we haven't been able to put in a project. But sometimes we just are fooling around and then someone starts playing something and then we just start jamming on it and turn it into a song. It doesn't happen often, but I have done that approach with other bands in the past, and it definitely yields cool results.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I've often thought that like, they're like making music. I think you're tapping into a different part of your brain, right? And I think even like other than the obvious like motor skills, I think that even playing different instruments makes you tap into different parts of your brain. Like when I'm playing drums, I'm like one person that's different than the person when I'm playing guitar. And also if it's a project where I more or less don't have to do vocals, like I feel, even though like in Coma Regalia, for instance, like I know for a fact we're not going to play like 80% of these songs because like you can't, you got 20 minutes, right? So like you got 200 songs. Like you don't have to worry about, can I sing and play this one? Like you don't have to worry about it. You can just go, right? But I still, somewhere in my brain, like I'm the singer. So somewhere in my brain, there's an aspect of me where I have to tell myself like to be more creative, like guitar wise. Whereas like in the past when I've just been the guitar player, like I'm in default. Like I'm like trying to write the riffs and not like the rhythm. You know what I mean? So like it's it's like is that a mindset that you had to like put yourself in like when it's like okay, we're just going to go for something? Or is it just like is this all sort of second nature to you at this point?
I mean, I kind of I've been put in the position of having to do vocals so many times in most bands I've been in that I just automatically try to write my parts like to where I can get good enough to do vocals while doing them, whether it's, guitar or drums. Um, but it's different on like with like recording projects because I know I'll never play them live. So I can kind of go a little crazier with those at times.
You talking about like an absolute shadow or something like that? Have y'all not
Yeah.
played?
No.
Oh, I thought that there was like a ZBR Fest appearance or something by now, but I guess I'm mistaken.
Yeah, we had talked about it, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But also like the way I write those songs, I kind of do um like I write them in the moment. So a lot of them I just like record it and then never play it again
Yeah.
because I like released it from my brain.
Yeah. Have you tried to go back and learn them and be like oh wow, this is nonsense? Or is there
Oh
is an
yeah.
aspect to
Yeah,
that?
there's like I go back and I try and I'm just like what was I thinking when I wrote this? Like this is cool, but this also makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Um and do you do a lot of like left guitar, right guitar, like to where it's just like you're see because that's my thing, right? Like I love to make the guitar like I want to play something in one speaker that makes like as little sense as possible with the other speaker, but like still being cohesive. And then
Mhm.
when I go back to like learn these things sometimes, like I'm doing this like right now, and I'm like, wow, when we play this particular song, I'm not playing either one of these chords, but I'm playing a chord that sounds like a mashup of both of them. But
Mhm.
now we're gonna play this song with like two guitars, like spoiler. But I have to actually figure out what these two guitars are doing, and it'll be a more accurate representation of the song for sure. But I'm like also like I have to low key like relearn this song, and like is that something you do as well? And then you're sitting there and really just being like, what the hell is this?
Uh, I guess like it depends on like my approach with like the recording stuff. Um, because sometimes I start with the guitar, sometimes I'll start with the bass. Because I usually get like with our features in Absolute Shadow and like a few other things, it's like I get the drums first and then I'm writing on top of that. Um, but like I do like to have each guitar be its own like individual thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but kind of like always weaving in and out of each other. Um, yeah, I don't know.
So you write like just the bass part over blank drums. You just go in like with a bass six or a bass, and you just write like this is the structure, this is the rhythm of the song.
Yeah, like if like I'll try out on guitar first, and if I'm not feeling it, or if I feel like I can have more space to mess around, I'll start with bass first and like have that be like the groundwork along with the drums.
Yeah.
Because then I can go and do like a lot more like high stuff with both guitars.
See, that's wild because I definitely like I definitely always do like the like I have like a like I don't want to like tell my whole thing, but like I have a speaker that I prefer like the cool stuff to happen in,
Mhm.
and so like the I'll always record like the boring, quote unquote, like boring guitar first, and put it in one speaker, and that like helps me to where like even if I mostly know what's going to happen in the other set of things, that just helps me to like, number one, you're not just like on the blank drums anymore. You have like that structure to guide you and stuff, but also like it just, like you were saying, it like gives you something there to where you really can expand like your ideas. And like I don't know why I can't conceive of just doing the bass part. Like the bass always comes last to me because
Oh,
like
weird.
yeah, I don't like, and it's it's weird too because like like I don't ever like the bass is not an afterthought to me whatsoever. Like even though I'm putting it last, right? It's just like it's like harder for me to do. Not um in a performance way, but like in a way that I'm satisfied with because like to me guitars can be screwy. Like but the bass has to it has to center the recording and it has to like make it has to make all the rhythm instruments like feel like they are in unison. And
Hmm.
even if that means like later on that I'll write something silly with the bass like oh this is like a weird part or whatever, like it's still gotta be this like glue. And sometimes I'm just like these guitars are sloppy as fuck, like I don't know if this is gonna work, and then I put the bass there and I'm like the guitars are tight, like why did I think, you know what I mean? It's just like the guitars can do these things that the bass can't do, and I have to be like I will record a bass part, like I'll record the whole thing and I'll listen back and I'll be like, you know, and I'll go and I'll do it again and I'll listen back and I'm like, that's perfect. And you can solo those and like I don't know if you could tell the difference. Like, but one of them feels right, Like
Hmm.
and yeah, I guess that's my thing with like I could not just put the bass there on the drums and just be like because I'd just be like whoops. I'd just be like, yeah, I don't know if this is good. Like, I'm just gonna end up redoing these like once the guitars are there because like that's when I really figure out if this worked. But yeah, that's like I love that. Like that project breathing lessons that I did with Peter Murphy. Like Peter sent me the bass tracks on the drums. Like I sent blank drums. Peter sent me just the bass tracks on the drums, and we did it that way. And it was a lot of fun. But I'm just like Peter was like, "Oh, this is a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be," and I'm like, "Yeah." Like I don't understand that at all. Like I don't know how you did it in the first place. Like it's awesome. But yeah, that's interesting. Do you feel like do you ever go back at a later date and you're like after you've done like the bass first and been like, oh, you know what though? Like I'm gonna give the bass a little more zhuzh. I'm gonna add like this other like do you ever edit that later or
Not really, not
not
unless
really?
there's like a little thing that I'm like, a little mess up or something, but
Mm-hmm.
not often.
Yeah, because
I'm
you're
just like,
doing
this is
like
the
guitar solos and all kinds of other things like that. So you're probably like really, there's not by the time you get to that point, there's maybe you're more or less finished.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's so interesting. Then when you do like Apostles of Eris stuff, do you do that guitar first as well a lot, or does that vary as well?
Most of the Apostles has been guitar first, but there's been like 3 to 5 songs that I started with drums.
Yeah,
Um, just because I was like messing around and had some extra drums, and I just, you know,
yeah.
started fooling around, and some magic happened.
Did you lay down like a whole song for the drums, or you started with a beat you liked and then you're like let's take it from there, or
No, I just hit record and then just go
oh
for it.
yeah, Yeah. Is that more or less what you did on Coma of Eris?
Yeah,
Yeah. And you just
yeah.
like,
I was like, well, I don't know, just making it up in my head as I went along, but trying to make it feel like, a proper song structure.
yeah. See, when I've done that before, like when I've done like drums first, I've done several projects like that. Like most of the stuff that I've done with Tom has been that way.
Hmm.
So like, Lizarral and Never Better and the one that starts with an M. I'm drawing a blank on that one, the name, but it's like it's a word that it's cancer related, and I can't think of the name off. I'll remember it later, and I'll just blot it out, and nobody will know. But and I also did that with the one I did with Craig Woods, Mild Flowers, which is like
Hmm.
pop punk, ish, indie, like built spill worship,
Hmm.
and when I do drums first, like I have to make up like I have to write the whole song like in my brain. So and I write like the most generic song, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
but I just have to write the whole song, and then I just like write it down, and I'm like, so um so like I'm more or less like playing a song, and I record the drums, and I'll send it to whoever, and then like it depends how fast it comes back to me, but sometimes I like remember exactly what I thought was happening in like my brain, and I think it's so much fun to like get back something, and occasionally it's really weird because it's closer than I would have ever guessed. Like y- like if you're just doing like a judgent judgent like kind of drum beat, like sometimes like it's that whole thing like where you name your kid Chet, you get a Chet. It's like that, right? Like when you play like the beat, the like stomp down beat, like it's surprising how often you might get that in some way, shape, or form back, right? But then the
Hmm.
opposite also happens where you just play like a D beat or something, and you're expecting to get this like 3 or 4 chord like fast chord part, and you get something else entirely, and you're like, whoa, like, um, so yeah, like when you are doing something for yourself and you put this down, like you put this drum beat down, like by the time you get to the guitars, have you already like half imagined what's going to go over that, or do you give
Nope,
yourself some
not at all.
time? Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm in like completely different mindsets when by the time I get to guitar.
Yeah.
So I'll just listen to it and kind of fool around until I like find something that I feel like works for it and just keep like building off of that.
Hmm.
But I like really just kind of just wing it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I have a thing sometimes which is fun and sounds a little bonkers, but I have a thing sometimes where I like I'll like I'll write like pretty much a whole record, and I'll have it like I'll have like the parts like in my DAW, and it's all just like all these guitar parts, and I'll just have like a spot in the middle of these couple of parts where I just leave this blank space, and I'm telling myself later like yeah, I don't know what goes there, but these two pieces are like I'll block them off with markers in the DAW. Like I'll put this as one, like that's the first song. I'll put this as two, but then there'll be spots where it's like this guitar's here and this guitar's there, and it's in the same like song. But there's a blank spot in the middle. I don't know what's supposed to happen, but I know this is the end of that song and this is the beginning of that song. And I'll go all the way to like I'm about to record this album, and there's nothing there. And I'll listen to the guitars in the beginning, and I'll be like, okay, boom, ba-da, 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 boom, ba-da, ba-da. And it's like, even if I'm not gonna like record the drums on it, like I'll do this, and then I'm like, okay, so here's a doom, ba-da, 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 and then like, then there's something, I don't know, and then the end is gonna start on this like bum 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 bum. I'm like, okay, so like I'll go and I'll click myself off like I'm like I know what I'm doing, and I'll play the beginning part and I'll play it as many times as I think I need to go, and I'll just like let myself jump into the next however many parts until I'm like, oh yeah, bum 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 bum, and like I will just write the middle of the song that way, and there's no guitars, and then I'll go back later, and I'm like, okay, those one guitars go right here, and I'll like kind of put them there, even though it's like obviously need to re-record them because they're not like on it, you know.
Hmm.
And then I'll put the other guitars there, and I'm like, okay, and then like it'll be maybe just one part sometimes that I did, and sometimes it'll be like three parts, and I'm like, I have no idea what's about to happen here, but like then I'll like record like a good version of the first part and record a good version of the last part and put them there, and just like let's make the rest up in the middle. And like people are like, oh, like what, how do you, and some of the most fun stuff has happened that way for me, where I just like I'm relatively unprepared for like what is about to happen, and it's just like I don't know, like that's the way that I like get like that spontaneity of like bouncing something off of like someone else, is like I'm bouncing it off of like unprepared me, like,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm, and I don't know, it's really like wild to me like how many ways you can do this, you know, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't know, it's always like it's always so much fun. um Now I think that with, you know, we're jumping around a lot, and like we'll talk about some stuff in more detail like later for sure, but I think that like in your most recent thing, the biological fathers, I think there was a really interesting thing there, and let me see if I was reading this right, but it says something to the effect of like there's a list of the performers, and it's like the stuff was recorded in this order. Is was I taking that the right way? Okay,
Yeah.
so it basically it's got Dave Cullen, and Dave Cullen's name is on top, so that's like guitar. So and then there's Robbie, and that's drums, and then there's you, and then there's Lucio. Or am I saying that wrong? I feel like
Lucio.
yeah, yeah, okay. I wasn't wrong. On bass, and then there's vocals. And so the last two things, like that makes sense. But so like this would lead you to believe that basically Dave wrote the bones of the song
Yep.
and then recorded to click.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Because like that's the only way that could work, right? Like I mean, I have recorded to guitars before that like like I've recorded drums to like the first Plague Walker thing that we did, like I actually recorded like the real recording of that 10-inch is recorded like I played a practice in my headphones and recorded to it, like, which is wild to think about to me, but I did that. And but anyway, so like if it was your guitars or something and you recorded them, like I could see like you go and you like you know how you might speed up or slow down, you know, but like just sending guitars to somebody, like that wouldn't really work. So Dave wrote the bones of the song, and then Robbie did the drums. Now, how much like had you heard that whole thing? before you step into the studio to record, or no?
Um, yeah, I had heard both of them together. Originally, I just got Dave's guitar parts by themselves, and
Okay.
it made a lot less sense without the
Okay.
drum.
Yeah.
Um,
It could go a lot of
I was
ways.
gonna, yeah, and like there were so many parts where I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen here at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it all really like Robbie really glued it together, and kind of like made it easier to wrap my head around,
Yeah,
which was nice.
there's some really there's some really disparate like guitar stuff where it's like without the drums, you're like it's almost like I don't know how you like you might be like, okay, are these like just accents or is this like the rhythm? Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I would have to go through the song and point out like exactly, oh, this is what I meant. But like yeah, you okay, and then it's all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's a backbeat here. Like, yeah, now I get it. So were you trying to write the parts before you got into the studio, or were you just trying to memorize like sort of the order? Like,
Oh well, Dave like he made like breakdown videos for like every single song for all of us. And I spent a lot of time writing my parts before going to the studio because I don't like to show up unprepared. Um, and also, I just once I got Dave's parts, my curious music brain just couldn't stop from trying to write cool stuff to it.
yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, I went and it's like the day before the ZBR pre-show last year. I flew to Chicago and got off the airplane, and then we drove and went and recorded.
You
Um,
got off like right off the plane and went and recorded.
yeah,
Oh no, that's that's rough, but it went okay.
yeah. It was also like all both me and Dave played seven strings for it,
Oh
and
okay.
but I only, you know, I was doing Apostles at CVR, so I had to bring my Telecaster, and his seven string just had like the thickest neck. And so it was like also a challenge just getting used to playing his guitar while trying to record them.
Yeah, yeah. I would. Yeah, I would. Like I first of all, I've never played a seven string. I would probably be fine ish, you know, but like, um, I think maybe more than that, like just like, oh, this is because I always play guitars that have. I don't ever play guitars with like thick necks at all. Like I play like
Mhm.
SGs and tellies, you know, like
Mhm.
so those are those are in a pretty similar. Like I do have an Epiphone Les Paul. I can't remember the last time I recorded anything with it. Like it's like even if you're sitting, which I like to I still even if I'm recording, I still like to stand while I play a
Yes.
lot because I just get more excited and I just feel it feels more like I feel like I need to be emotionally invested in what I'm doing and that just makes it that way for me.
Mhm.
But with a Les Paul, like even if I'm sitting, like I feel like this thing is destroying my back. Like I don't like I'm
Yeah.
just sitting here and I'm like, um so yeah, I don't I don't know when the last time I recorded with that was. The last one I remember was static intervals, because that's the one where like the I was doing this like minute and a half long like rail of feedback, and the Carvin that I was recording with just like died during the feedback.
Oh.
so so I was like, oh, and it was like the feedback was like perfect, and I was like, I actually like I actually like I actually went in and I like left the original feedback, and I was like, I wonder if I can make a feedback track that I can cut into this. Like, I wonder if I
Mm.
can find a spot where the feedback is like wavering in a way that I can cut this other feedback track into it. And also, I wonder if I can, because I it was most of the album was recorded with that Carvin, and then it was just like it was shit, right? So like, I was like, I wonder if I can EQ this other amp to where you won't be able to tell that like the last like 2.5 songs like are with this other amp. And I think I did a pretty good job. If I never told anyone, they probably wouldn't be like, "Oh, this is 2 amps," you know? But but yeah, it was like one of those, like, you're ever recording something and you're just like, you're so fucking like, you're like, this is the best thing I've ever done with my life, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're ever in that zone? Like, that's what I was like. And then the silence. Just like, I was in the
Oh.
middle of this feedback part. I was like, you know, like, you could strike me dead right now. I'm fine. You know what I mean? I'd be fine. Like, I'm happy with my life. And then just silence. And I was like, oh, um, okay. uh, so I really wanted to use it, you know, because I was like, oh, I felt so that felt so good, and I don't know, I did, but I don't know. Do you have any horror stories like that?
Um, I mean, only like during shows, not during recording,
Yeah,
thankfully.
yeah.
That's just,
I don't know what's worse, right? Like, it happens in a show, and and you're like, um, in front of people, so you're kind of embarrassed, and you're super nervous because you have to do something about it right now, and you got to get everything back on track. But then, like, at the same time, like, something works out, you finish your set, you're like, well, that sucked, but everybody was cool after, and you got to do your thing. So there's that. But when you're by yourself and that happens, then it's just like, that sucked, and then you're just alone with that like suckitude, you know. You're
I
like,
did just remember I lost I had recorded a whole like almost full Apostles of Eris album on my I used to have this like I think 16 track from the 90s, and like basically right when I was about finished with mixing it, it just died, and there was like no way to get the songs. Like I just had like old mixed versions of them,
oh my
and
god.
like not even all the songs either.
Yeah, because you were kind of improvising and recording as you go and stuff like that, and so it was just like,
Then it's just like because it was ancient technology, it was really hard. You had to like burn each track individually to a CD. Um, and so because it took forever, I didn't do any backing up, and they were just mostly gone.
yeah, that sucks. I when my computer died last year, um I didn't I didn't lose like a ton of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um because I feel like I saw the writing on the wall. Like, it just started acting real weird, and I was like, well, I better start backing stuff up, you know. Um, but there's always like, there's always different instances of just like, you know, when you are like in the middle of a recording and you're not like saving it as you go, and then the program like locks up and you gotta, but
Mhm.
nothing as bad as like, oh damn, I lost this like whole album, like that fucking sucks. I think I did like I think I did lose like a song or two, from that thing last
Mhm.
year, and I lost like two podcasts that I recorded, which was like that sucked because I spent an hour of my time doing it and also like someone else's time, which is like that's like the bigger thing for me. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasted somebody else's time like that, but um, so it was digital though, and it's just like you had to dump the files like onto CDs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
And it's like so old, it takes like 20 minutes to burn one CD.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's wild. Did you like look into get it like what did you like about that unit specifically that um like to like would you get one of those again? Was there an aspect to what you were doing where you're like, damn, I miss this about that because this was like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, the thing I missed most was just the 16 tracks all at once.
yeah,
But
yeah,
other than that, it was like it just took forever on everything.
yeah.
I mean, I bought it off of like one of my old managers at like work in the kitchen for like $100,
Hmm.
and that was just like the only thing I had like access to like record on like for a while.
Okay. And when you say you dumped the song down, like, are you dumping down like the stems of each track, or are you dumping down like the song more or less?
You could either do one mixed song per CD or like all the stems together.
Right, right.
But you couldn't do multiple songs mixed down on one CD.
Yeah. What were you doing? Were you dumping the stems down and mixing them in like Reaper or something like that, or were you just like mixing it on the unit?
I was just mixing it on the unit. It was like surprisingly like sounded really good on its own. Um,
Yeah.
whereas a lot of the ones I've used, like, because I've always used the standalone mixers, and most of them don't really have the best like internal mixing capabilities as to what you know Reaper and others.
Yeah. Um when you so you just like if you were doing a drum take and you got like 8 mics up, or just for example for the drums, then you just have to really make sure like you can adjust everything later, like volume and everything.
Yeah,
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't getting about that because like yeah, there we've done we did the Akamele demo, for example. Like we did that like where um we didn't have like an interface, right? So we recorded on a computer,
mhm.
but we didn't have an interface. So we had to like we recorded the drums like through a mixer, and then the mixer went one track into the computer. So like there wasn't really any mixing the drums later. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it when the drums got recorded, if the snare wasn't loud enough or the bass drum wasn't loud enough, there was only so much you could do later because it was one file.
Yeah,
So you had to sit there, you had to like, okay, play the song again, and you had to sit there and like, okay, I'm editing this as we go, and I'm trying to half mix it, and I didn't do that, like that was someone else that did all that. I definitely like I'd never recorded myself before at that point, so that would have been way out of my league. But like, um, I know you know, like there's an aspect to like a lot of those um, older consoles and stuff where it's like sort of what you when you hit record, what you get in there is what you get, you know. And so
Yeah.
that sounds like that was way more advanced than that. That's awesome. I always like
But yeah, after that, I had like an 8 track, but it only had 2 inputs. So like the majority of like the Apostles of Eris stuff, like all the drums is just like 2 drum mics because that's all I could
the
do.
the what's that method called? Like the
The Din John
yeah,
method.
yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah. Sometimes when I do like we'll do like these covers comps and stuff, you know, which you've been a part of more than a couple of them. Um, Sometimes like I'll just like I'll be counting on a bunch of tracks from people, and then like it's just like, oh, like this is gonna be a pretty slim comp if I don't record another song or two, you know. And like I did a Pegboy cover one year, and that's for example like that one, I did that so fast that I was just like, you know what, one microphone for the drums, just just take the I there's a method. I don't know if it's very good, but I've used it more than once, and it worked for me. But where I just put a condenser like behind my left shoulder, like
Hmm.
I'm playing the drums and the condenser is just behind my left shoulder, and I just get like I get really good like tracking with the snare that way without like losing that sort of room mic effect. And
Hmm.
there's probably, you know, other people are probably like, oh, you do better if you did this or you did that, and I'm happy to hear any of those suggestions. I know Aster is a fan of the crotch mic. Like if you're just doing one mic, like just put it like in between your legs, basically. Like you know,
Weird.
like in between you and your snare, like right there. And like she sent me a picture of like what how the microphone is like angled, and it's like it. I believe it was like you know, it was facing away from the hi hats, and it's like, you know, angled more or less like at like the bass drum slash like floor tom, you know, whatever. If
Hmm.
it's a right handed person, you know, so that was interesting as well. I mean, I would I would like to try that. That'd be fun, but that kind of stuff is so like I was going to use the word fantasize. It's not that's too strong of a word, you know. But I always like the idea of getting like, yeah, one of these like, you know, 8 track or 16 track. Like you think like, oh, if I could get one of those for $50, like that'd be fun to just do a record on, you know. And you
Hmm.
probably can't get one for $50, like except under like the perfect circumstances, you know what I mean? So it'll never happen, but
Hmm.
like um I just, you know, I just love like when I hear like, oh, I tried this way or I did this way. I'm like, ooh, yeah, I got to do that, you know? Um like I heard about like I saw this thing somebody was like, you like for a room mic, put a microphone inside an acoustic guitar, and I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. And I did it with the Worn Through album, and I was like, um, and I liked it a lot, except like I ended up basically not using it, except like for whatever, because like I couldn't get this like I couldn't get when the bass drum hit, like I couldn't get
Hmm.
this overtone out of it, right? And
Oh, weird.
it was like I like that's the whole thing, right? You're looking for this overtone because like that's why you put it in there. But it's just like it just bothered me, right? But when I was like but when those toms hit, they sound awesome. So like I went and I cut this whole like room mic inside of a acoustic guitar, and I went and I cut this whole track except for where the toms hit. And that's what and that's what they are. So like now people are gonna be like, oh yeah, they do sound weird as fuck, you know. But like it was so cool. Like I was like they sound weird and awesome and cool, you know, and
Hmm.
and it gives them this weird like sort of oomph. And now that like I've said it out loud, people are gonna be like, oh, you know what I mean. But like I would like to try that again and just like I'm thinking actually what was happening is was I just put it too much in the direct, like more or less like the wind path of the bass drum. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think because there's a lot more happening there than you can realize sometimes. Like there's a lot of force coming out of that like hole, you know, and
Hmm.
I think that's more or less what the problem was. Is I it was like too close to it. It was like too much in the path of it or something, and I would like to try it again and just put it somewhere off to the side or you know somewhere more like nonchalant. But I was like,
Hmm.
I was really trying to like I was like I want the snare to be in here a lot. I want the bass drum to be in here a lot. I want like, you know, and I really should have just used it as like a room just for ambience, you know, and just for whatever. But I don't know. When I hear weird stuff like that, I'm just like I got to try that. Is it do you have experience like that?
Um, Not really. I just try to just do things to that just work with the limited setup I have.
Yeah. But have you ever done something that you you weren't sure if it was going to work, but it did work, and now it's like a staple of yours?
Um, no, because I set things up different every time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's so uh like you use the drum miking technique that we were talking about like I once again forget the name of. Um you use that a lot though, right? Or do you
Yeah, but now I have a 24 track, so I don't need to do that anymore.
Okay.
Um, so that's nice, and it's just really a matter of how many mics do I have available, and like, are we doing everything live or are we doing it like piecemeal?
Yeah.
Because if we do everything live, I have to do less mics on the drums.
Yeah. What is your ideal for how many mics you want on your drums?
Um, I mean, the most I've done is like 6 or 7.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I don't like to overdo it either. I'm sure that people that are more like skilled at this and have more practice than me, like they, you know, it's like you see recording setups and you're like, oh my god, like what is, you know, like when we did that vet song, like Vinny sent me, it was like 16 tracks.
oh my god.
And we were like, I don't know what all this I don't know what all this is. But Tom ended up mixing that song. So I didn't have to I was just like, cool, you know? But I it's not even about like it's not even about the like um I don't know how to put this. I could you could say it is about my skill level because like if you have practice with more drum mics than you are knowledged in how to get each one to do a specific thing to work for the whole overall. But with me, it's just like I've done like I only have an 8 track interface, so I've done 8 like a lot of times. And I've gotten to the point where like I'll just do like 6 at the most, you know, sometimes 5. Like I think on birth site, like I always do 5. Um, I don't even use a top snare most of the time anymore because I just don't like it. I just don't
Really?
like the way it sounds. Like, um, and people are like, "What? I don't use a bottom," and that's I don't know. That's so weird to me. Like, but like, I just have this like, I will only use the bottom snare, and I will I have a way where like I have the snares on the bottom are super tight, and then I will actually tape them as well until like I'll put a little tape on it, and then I'll put a little more until like that's the way I want it to sound. Like when and I don't like I'll have some where there's a top mic like this recording I'm doing right now. There's a top snare mic, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like I'll leave it in there, but like I don't hear it because like I only care about the bottom, and like that's like I know that's sacrilege to some people. It sounds like you're kind of like whoa what as well. Like are you
I'm definitely gonna try that because I've just only done the top snare.
yeah. It's yeah it's one of those things like it can be really messy I think, and I think that might be why people are like yeah I stay away from when I did like one recording for someone like I was doing the drums, and she was like oh I don't even care if there's a bottom, and I was like like what like what do you mean but so that was weird to me, but yeah it's like it can be messy for sure, but like it's just like oh yeah like okay that's a little more rattle than I want, like but you obviously want the snares to be there because that's where the crack is, right, but that's a little more rattle, so like I just take like another thin layer, and I'm just inching like from more or less like from the edge where it's tied, and I'm just inching a little bit on each side like towards the center until oh that's perfect, like that's the perfect amount of rattle, that's like you know and yeah I don't know like that's um and probably a lot of people are like well your stare sounds like shit so I don't care, but like um at the same time I have had people be like I can tell it's you on drums every time because of the way the snare sounds, and well, I think that's cool, like
Yeah.
for better or worse,
Hmm.
which is like that's one thing that like I told you I was listening to our previous conversation earlier, and that's one thing that I came away with that I was like yeah, like you said that a bit of advice that you got about playing music is like always have your own voice, and
Hmm.
that thing about the drums like speaks so much to that, I think, when somebody's like I could tell that was you, like and that was something I wanted to get into with you again as well, because we're talking about all these recording projects where you play all these different roles and sometimes many roles in the same projects. And I feel like as a guitar player, like I can always tell like that's you playing. So like is that a conscious thing that you have to like is that something that you're aware of when you're doing that, or is it just second nature at this point to where you're just like I just come at it and what's going to come out is going to sound like me?
It's it's really hard to not sound like me
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I've like worked on getting my guitar playing in like the direction it's in, that it's just ingrained in me.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't really play any other way.
Yeah. Have you now this is a tangent as well, but like so there's been times when I will try to sound like someone else. And when and I'll do like a whole album. I'm like, oh yeah, this album is supposed to sound like this. Like I'm trying to rip this band off, and then
Hmm.
when I come back and I'm like, yeah, this just sounds like another album that I wrote. Like, is that a thing for you as well, where you're like, I want to really show off this influence, and then you're just like later you're just like, well, another Jesse song.
Oh yeah. Like I mean,
Yeah,
I definitely like at times will be like, I want to go for like this sort of vibe, and then it just comes out differently, or it just, I mean, it just still sounds like me. But uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't try to force things too much with music. Just kind of like to let things land where they land.
yeah, yeah. I had, I had something. I have something that I'm recording right now, and I actually recorded it like probably, I don't even know. I recorded at my old house, that's for sure. So that's 3+ years. I recorded it probably before Coma of Eris, which was 5, 6 years by the time we finished that. Um, I had to have recorded around that same time, right? So this project's at least 5, 6 years old. It's been one of those things where I showed it to some people and they were like, "Yeah, this is cool. Let's do this." And then the interest faded or life came up and it didn't happen. I showed it to other people. They're like, "Yes, that's cool. Let's do this." And same thing, same thing. And 6 years
Mhm.
later, it's not happened. This project's on a thumb drive. It was lucky it made it from one computer to the next. Finally, I'm like, I can't like I feel like I can't concentrate on new things if I'm constantly asking people like where are these files or like are you still interested? So I'm like I'm just going to finish it. And I was very specifically trying to because I thought, well, what would be cool if like this classic sounding punk band like that everybody when I record this album, everybody's gonna know that I was trying to rip off the Ramones. Everybody's gonna know this is a Ramones ripoff. Like if you and there's so many bands, so many like where you're like they love the Ramones. They so many bands and it's like not even trying to say anything about any of those bands, but like the Queers, Screeching Weasel, so many bands, and they've done it well and they've put their own stamp on it or whatever. You can be the judge of their varying degrees of success. But I was like, what if it was like that, but it was what if it was exactly like that, but if everything was just like blown out and there was screaming instead
Yeah.
of like I was like that'd be cool, right? And just nobody like I think at the end of the day people like were like I don't think this works, I don't think this works, I don't think this works. And so finally I was like, after all this time I was like, okay, I'll do it. and and when I'm recording these vocals and stuff I'm like, yeah, this doesn't sound like the Ramones like at all. Like what? Like no one's gonna listen to this and be like, "This is that album that she was talking about where she was trying to rip off the Ramones." Like no one is, like unless you hear like one specific song before any of the other songs, like then you'll be like, "Oh, like you know." But like that's the way it always is with me too. It's like I just can't like I can't help myself. Like something comes out and it's like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be anymore, and
Mhm.
for better or worse, in like, you know, uh, that's also up to someone else's opinion of that, Um, but back to biological fathers. So you get in there. What a tangent! You get in there and you got this like big hunking piece of wood. And do you play seven strings a lot or no?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
had one since
Okay, I thought that you
2013.
yeah. I thought I remember you like I thought I remember seeing videos or whatever with the and I can always tell it's a seven string cuz someone will have like the handkerchief on the end, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Yeah. It's like Because that's like what, like the top string, like there's a lot of noise there or something like that.
Uh, it's a dampener. I don't really I don't use one, so I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. I thought I had seen one. Maybe it's like thinking of something else. But like so you know you're really familiar with playing, but it's like you had half written the parts or no?
Oh, by the time I was at the studio, I had like fully written them. I did rewrite one little thing um the day before I went and wasn't sure how it was going to come out, but it came out fine.
Okay.
Um,
So
but yeah, I'm mostly prepared.
by the time you flew out there and stuff, you had a more advanced version of the recording that you were playing along to or something, or like you
I
had
had
one with the drums.
yeah, I had one with drums by
Oh,
then.
okay. Okay. So for a couple weeks you're listening to just the guitars. You're like, I don't know what this is. It sounds
Yeah.
cool, but I don't know what it is. And then after a little bit you get it with Robbie's drums, and then you can actually start writing. So by the time you get there, you've got your game plan, you know what's going on, but then you're like, yeah, I don't know, this guitar is a beast, and that's just like a hurdle that you sort of got to get over.
Mhm.
Was that the first time in a while that you've been like on the dime at a studio, like for a minute, or?
Yeah, I hadn't played. The last time I had been in a real studio was when we did the In Wolves Clothing album,
Oh, okay.
like beginning of 2020.
Yeah,
Um,
that was part of our conversation before, so that's been a while. Um, was that nerve wracking?
um, it was definitely weird because it was, we weren't next to the cab. We were in the recording room, but they were like, we had the cab heads in there. So it was like I was getting, you know, only from the headphones where I like to feel the guitar
Yeah,
when I'm playing. So
yeah,
that was throwing me off. And then also Pete, who we worked with, like what I did was like I would do a playthrough of the song, and then we would go through and just like punch every part with a new, just like cleaner part, and I'm not used to that. I'm just used to just start to finish. Um, so that was a little weird, but and also very I don't know. It made the end result better because of the perfectionism, but uh, it was I don't know, having to remember parts in the middle of something uh, when I think of it as a whole
yeah,
uh, it was really weird.
yeah, yeah. I sometimes like I can't remember the words unless there's the guitar, you know, and I certainly can't remember the words to the middle of the song, you know, like and it could go that way with the guitars as well. Like, oh, can you play that third part again? Uh, I gotta sit there and like until I get to the third part. Oh yeah, yeah, and then I can start from the third part, you know. But I
Mhm.
gotta get there first. So you were like, so you laid down what you felt like was like, okay, that's the take, but that take ended up being more or less a scratch for you to go and like put like even tighter versions on like just patch in and out like these like tighter
Hmm.
performances of oh, okay. um that's wild. Like, do you said that you felt like it did improve everything and made things better, but like when you listen back first, like was the engineer hearing things that you weren't necessarily hearing, and then until it was pointed out to you, or so that's interesting.
Um, no, I think he had a. I don't know. I'm not as. He was being harsher on my playing than I
Okay,
was.
okay, because you're like, yeah, it's punk rock. Like we're
Yeah.
like you know like I'm used to like people like smashing mirrors and stuff while we're doing this, or I don't know. Yeah, yeah, it that's super interesting. I definitely like, we were just talking about how like I get really anal retentive about like the bass, and
Hmm.
that's that makes sense to me there. But like to me, like guitars are just not that. They're not that girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like guitars are like they just come in the room and start kicking things around and don't worry about, like, you know what I mean? Like obviously it's got to be like, if there's an accent that this has got to hit on, or that it's got to be like that. But like to me, like guitars are just so, like, they can get away with all that. You know what I mean? Like, oh girl,
I
you
mean,
can do no wrong.
like those little imperfections can like add a lot of character like to the song itself.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's I'm like fine with them. Like I like more raw stuff.
yeah. But I also do get it, like, especially if this is like everything up to where you went in is done on a click. And so there's this like grid, like thing happening in like the whole mindset, like slash vibe of the project. So like, yeah. Um did Lucio come in and do the bass like also like while you were there, or was that like later as well?
No, that was like September or October. Like we originally had someone else was going to do bass. So we were waiting for a while for them, and then they eventually couldn't do it. And like then Dave just asked Lucio because he like filled in for Crowning for some shows in the past, and he's just
He's a beast.
he's just insane. Yeah, he's just an
Yeah.
amazing musician.
Like, yeah,
Um,
like,
and it was like like how like working with Tom is, where it's like he laid down stuff that like I never would have thought to play, but it's just like this is the perfect thing you possibly could have done.
yeah, there's
Um,
there's some spots in there where like the bass just fucking goes off and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, and it's like in, I don't know, I like I this just came out, and then we start talking like, let's have a chat about this. So I wish I did get to spend more time with it. I could point out like this and that, but it's like there's like this like melodic part, and the guitars are kind of trailing off, and then the bass just comes out with this fucking crazy line, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's awesome. But yeah, it's like it is like it did end up being like the perfect person for the job, but also y'all didn't ask me, so that's fine. Maybe next time. uh but yeah, were you just were you finishing these things like as like it goes, or like was Lowell already on to be the vocalist, or was it like Lucio
oh, I
recorded
didn't know
and
about I didn't know about Lowell doing vocals until after Lucio did the bass. I
okay.
think Dave was just asking people as like each part was completed.
Oh wow.
Um, and but it all just like magically melded together in a good time frame.
Wow, that's awesome. Um, w- was that the was Was that the plan all along? Like, do you like, maybe you can't speak on that, but was it the plan all along to just like build this step by step?
I don't really know. I
Yeah,
think Dave,
maybe.
Dave was just kind of just asking people and to see where it went.
Yeah.
And
Um
yeah,
yeah, I think that's really cool. Like it in my brain, and like, it's just like this could have gone a million different ways, but in my brain that would be really fun because like you each step that you're closer to being done, like you can see this project becoming a little different than you thought it was going to be at the
hmm
start. And you could look at that a number of ways, right? You could from Dave's point of view, being like the quote unquote mastermind, or however you want to put it, behind the whole thing, you could be like, now who will fit this the best? Or you could flip it and be like, who'd be the weirdest fucking person to ask now? You know what I mean? Like, and either way could have been such an awesome result. Like, you know, um, because yeah, there's some parts, especially on that first single that y'all dropped, where it's like there's like the part that's really choppy, and you're like, when did this become like a fucking 30 degrees everywhere promise ring song? Like, you know what I mean? And like a totally different kind of vocal could have worked there, but like the screams like work as well, like what Lowell did works as well. And it's like, I don't know, it's such a like a fascinating idea in that respect, to just be like, damn, like how many different interpretations could you have gotten like of these songs?
yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot of fun.
It was
Have
nice
y'all?
that like Dave at no point like didn't tell any of us what to do. He
Yeah,
was just let us like have our own free creative reign. So like, and I think it's just because he trusted us because of what we've done in the past. But like he was more than impressed with like everyone, what they contributed to it.
yeah, it's awesome. And it goes a lot of places in like what, like under 6 minutes or something,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. Um, and when y'all like get in and all is said and done, and this is all knocked out, and like it's out in the world now, like, is there like, hey, we ought to do this again?
Yeah, I mean we've already talked about doing some more.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may do a different writing process, but I'm not sure until we get to that point.
Yeah.
Um, it's just going to be a matter of everyone uh, lining up at the same points with their lives. Because I know, Isla just released a new album, so Robbie's probably going to be busy with that for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we'll see
Yeah.
when we can actually get around to it.
Yeah. Um. Well, it's been a long time since we chatted, and you have certainly not stopped like putting out music in any shape or way, shape, or form. Um. I the most recent stuff that I can think of is like obviously that, and so we're spending a lot of time on that. But what are some of your other newest releases? Like, have I missed like some other Apostle of Eris stuff, like between Coma of Eris and now, or was that the newest thing?
No, we didn't do anything. I did. Our Futures and Absolute Shadow put out a split with Lucidity last year,
Right.
and and then I did a solo guitar album at the end
Oh,
of the. I think those are my last two releases,
okay.
probably. But yeah.
Now, how do you approach like this solo album differently than you approach like Apostles of Eris, or is it just like a different. You're like these. This is a different vibe. I'm not going for like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot more chill stuff. It's like the stuff that I write for, like, I don't know, that just relaxes me. Some stuff like working with like my loop station or just getting sucked into my delay pedal and
Yeah.
just like a lot of just, more quieter stuff.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I used to try to write a lot of stuff with like the Ditto when I first got that. I really enjoyed doing all that, and one of my one of the guitar players in the band, one of the bands I was in, was referred to it as elevator music on crack, like, and I was like, yeah, I don't know, that's like a, like obviously that sounds gross to like say, but like it it was really, yeah, I don't know, like I love just like hitting record and just putting like 7 million layers of guitars on something until
Mm-hmm.
you can't even tell what the first guitar was anymore.
Yeah.
And that was more or less how I wrote like Times Run Out, but like um I haven't done that so much. A there's actually like an album starter that I still haven't used that like I wrote that way. Um and I just like I can't haven't been able to make it work yet. There's just like, you ever just like write a little thing and you're like, "Oh, that's a perfect start to an album." Like just like it's a little haunting melody with a couple things going on and you're like, and then you go into this. And I just haven't gotten the like I need to like I need to start with that. I need to base the whole rest of the album on that. And instead what I've been trying to do is be like, does this work for the beginning of this? And it just doesn't. Um I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you ever run into situations like that where you're like, well, I have this whole track of things, like this whole album's worth of songs, but like this just doesn't work at all. And you got to put it in the back burner and it just, no matter how much you like it, it stays there for practically ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like any
Yeah.
any
I've got
babies like
a
that
lot
are,
of, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I have that just saving for the right moment,
yeah.
whether it's like recording or a band or something.
Yeah. I've entertained the idea of like of doing like, you know, a physical only release of like just stuff like that where it's like these songs like would not fit on an album, like
Mhm.
they don't make sense together, like it's like borderline, like it's borderline a bad listening experience to put all of these together and like and listen, but like, what if you put them on a CD and you left that 2 second you left that 2 second pause between each tracks, like they used to try to make you do. Would it be fine? What would that be like? And I don't know, it could be fun, but yeah. So what do you have like that you're working on right now that you can talk about?
I mean, we're still working on Apostles of Eris LP. Um, Dave is finishing up his vocals, and then I have to do mine. And then we're just got to get it mixed. But it's definitely the best thing that we've ever done. I got Adam from like Euclid C Finder and Life to play drums on it, and he's probably the best drummer I've ever played with.
Oh wow.
Um, I just like let him have like free reign, and he wrote a lot of stuff that like I wouldn't have thought to do. Um,
Now, how did you
so and then
approach that part? Like, did you send demos with your drums on it, or did you just send the guitars? Or
I just sent him the guitars, and then
Okay.
he's in Baltimore, so he drove down and came down for a few days, and we just jammed on the songs. And then he came back like a few weeks later, and we like jammed and then recorded them. Um, and so we got like or actually able to organically work out the parts together. Um, so that was yeah, it was cool.
Is he the same drummer in Letters to You, or is that a different drummer?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. I think he's in that.
Yeah, the drums on that are bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, um, I just know that like that's some of the same people in Life and several other bands as far as I know,
Hmm.
that are in Letters to You as well. Um, but yeah, yeah, that's gonna be awesome. So you recorded everything yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think that how do you think that turned out as far as like when you're did you record another drummer differently than you might record yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I spent a lot more time on setting it up and getting good sounds.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was myself, I just kind of set up. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, let's rock. Yeah. Um so who do you have who's going to mix it? Do you know or
Um, I'm think we're gonna go with Sammy Garul
okay.
from yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Warren of Ohms.
Warren of Ohms. Yeah. I was like I was just thinking like the because Sammy does all the graphics and stuff. I just had not just a phase like that. I just had that
Yeah.
going in my brain. But yeah, Warren of Ohms is Sammy's project, and yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to hear that. How many songs did you do?
We did 9 full band, and then there's like a interlude track as well.
Okay, just like guitars and textures and stuff.
Like guitar and vocals.
Oh, okay. Um, vocals like it's just guitars and like screamed vocals, or is there a
Oh,
like a
it's sung.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that you or is that Dave?
No, it's neither of us. It's
Oh, okay.
uh Taylor that used to be.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah, look at me.
Did you get the tracks from Taylor already?
No.
Okay, so you're just
Oh wait,
like it's gonna be
you're
cool.
talking about this? Yeah, no, I we've had it for
Okay,
a while.
so you've totally got
Yeah,
it in there and you know what the vibe is and all that. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's absolutely beautiful. So
Yeah.
I've been like trying to figure out because they did it like years ago, and I was like, I want this to be on like something really good because
Oh,
it's
they
so
wrote the
beautiful.
whole part?
They just did their vocals. I like did like a guitar piece that's like I have the delay really long, and I'm playing to where it's like I'm playing in between the repeats to like I don't know, make it sound like I'm playing a lot more than I am.
Oh, okay.
But they did like just some really really beautiful vocals over
Yeah.
it.
I have a thing that I have been working on that they're gonna do vocals on, and I really need to just like knock it out already. But the thing is, like, I I like I really like the song, but I feel like the song needs like more or less an intro. But all the
Hmm.
intros that I've done suck. So I was like, so I'm kind of like, I don't know if it needs an intro. Like after all this time,
Hmm.
like I keep farting around with these different ideas. I don't know if it needs it. Maybe I just like, you know, maybe I just find a sound bite to stick there, and it'll satisfy my need for, you know, like I just don't. It's just like this first part, and it just comes in like bum bum, and I just feel
Hmm.
like something has to like I don't want to just throw this at you. You know what I mean? Like,
Just do like
um,
a fade in or
yeah,
something like
I
that.
don't know. Like So it's like I've tried coming up with these intros. I I tracked out like two different sort of like drum parts, like to just like, you know, experiment with and try to do like a little, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Probably just have to just like, you know, um, but I don't know. Like I also like how like sometimes bands just do like a a weird random little noodle and then the song comes in real, you know, like there's a Promise Ring song, second time I mentioned Promise Ring in this, but there's a Promise Ring song where they did that. I can't remember the name of the song, but where they just did like a nee 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 nee, and then like the song comes in. So maybe I'll just do something like that. Maybe just like have some, you know, or you know, I don't know. Been plenty of like, you know, weird sort of things to, you know, like kick a song off. Like, you know, you could do the like we're turning our amps on thing, you know, like you know, I don't know. We'll see. But I need to finish that. That's gonna be the motivation for me to finish it, because knowing that like they're gonna do an awesome job on this song and it's gonna be fun. Um, well, yeah. So there's that, and do you have any other bands that are going on right now? Like, um,
Um, everything's kind of in the air right now.
yeah, yeah,
But our future is an absolute shadow. We got like a 4-way split coming out this year with like Letter Bombs and Inosuke and Mount Ida, and that's going to be really cool. The
yeah. So,
packaging is supposed to be kind of crazy. If I remember right, like it's supposed to like, I guess like pop out like a pop-up book or something,
oh
and then
my
you put like
god,
a light, you do like a light source under it, and it projects an image onto the ceiling.
what?
Um,
That's bonkers.
yeah, I have no clue how it's gonna work.
And that was my conversation with Jesse Mowery. Thank you so much, Jesse, for taking the time to chat with me. It's always such a blast to catch up with you. Thanks to all of y'all for listening wherever you are as well. Don't forget to stop by patreon.com/humanmachine to see what we've got going on over there. And until next time, take care and do good things.